Hi, welcome to class. Today we are going to talk about the research proposal for Essay 3, which is an argumentative research essay. Let's begin. Let's begin by looking at the instructions for the research proposal. The goals of this assignment are to help you engage in focused research, to listen to the continuum of opinion regarding an arguable topic that you find interesting, and for you to add your own opinion to the discourse. This requires that you're going to consult a range of sources. It can be books, scholarly articles, websites, and popular sources. After all, this is a course on American pop culture. But while you're conducting your research, you want to make sure that you consider the entire continuum of opinion for everybody's claim thesis statement. So you don't want to just look for people that agree with you. You want to find people that disagree with you entirely, and you want to find people that partially agree with you and partially disagree with you. And after you've listened to what other people have to say about this topic, then you're going to write your own thoughts into a research proposal. To help you complete your research for Essay 3, be sure to consult the TCC databases and the research librarian. You can conduct some of your research online for popular sources. However, you will need some scholarly sources for your paper. I've provided you an internet link, and you can also access the TCC library via your student homepage on Blackboard. Make sure as you're consulting the sources for your essay that you're looking for credible sources that are applicable to your topic. As you're reading through these sources, document the citation model for each source into a working bibliography. This will help you easily locate the source again later on in the semester. After you've gathered all your sources, you are going to then compose the research proposal. Now, if you're in English 1113, you're going to need 5 sources for the research proposal, and if you're in English 1213, you'll need 8 sources for the research proposal. Now, the research proposal is like a research problem. There are 3 things that I'm looking for. I want to know what it is that you're working on, what you want to learn more about, and how this will help your readers. So I've given you an example here. I am researching the discourse regarding vigilantes, anti-heroes, and heroes because vigilantes are overtaking the cinematic box offices. Society should be concerned about the cultural values that younger generations are learning from the movies. I want readers to understand that society needs to challenge their belief systems regarding civil disobedience and citizen policing. Now note, part of the argument is that vigilantes are overtaking the cinematic box office. The same could be said of animated or suspense movies. Another part of the argument concerns challenging social values. This keeps the proposal in the genre of argument and not just informational. After all, there's more than just, superhero movies that are well known in the box office. We have the animated movies, we have the horror and slasher genres, we have the adventure and suspense films. So there is a slight argument here, and it could be nuanced throughout your proposal by using your significant statement. Now here's another example. Artificial intelligence scientists have created AIs that appear nearly human. There are many well-known AI robots like Sophia who tour the world. I am researching AI because I foresee that society will be faced with a new issue. Should AIs receive citizenship? Should AIs receive inalienable rights like their human counterparts? Is it ethical for humans to create AIs? So here in this proposal, the continuum of opinion is diversified, and it also demonstrates that there are questions that need to be answered, and I'll be able to formulate a thesis based upon these questions. So these are the instructions for the research proposal, and now let's move on to the lecture part for this assignment. Now let's look deeper into what the components of a research proposal are. In order to understand a research proposal, you need to understand the continuum of opinion. This is a concept that we have been discussing for the entire semester, but let's review it here really quick. So the continuum of opinion, you can consider it like this never-ending line. And your claim is always the positive claim. It's always your thesis statement for your paper. The opposite of your opinion are people who are in total disagreement with you. And then you're going to have people that agree and disagree with part of your opinion. A well-balanced argument will take into consideration all these types of opinions. You don't want sources that just agree with you, and you don't want sources that just disagree with you. You want to make sure that you can engage in the entire continuum of opinion and show this in your research proposal and in your polished essay 3. So now let's look at the different things that you need to have within your research proposal. First off, you need an arguable topic. Now, an arguable topic is one that can be discussed without people getting too overly emotional. So generally, we try to stay away from religious topics. You're not generally going to convince somebody to change their mind. Also, you want to construct some research questions. What do you not know about the topic that you've heard some about, but you aren't well versed in it? You want to make sure that you look for sources in the library database. And as you're researching and you're reading these sources, make sure that you summarize these sources in your own words, and make sure that you have some quotes to use for your research proposal and your paper. You want to use the research template, which I've provided for you on Blackboard. And you want to submit and receive instructor approval before the deadline. Please see your course calendar. Now, we've already talked about the continuum of opinion, and we've talked about thinking about an arguable topic. So an arguable topic is one that can be discussed without people becoming too highly emotive. And an arguable topic is also one in which you could probably persuade somebody to believe in your claim. An arguable topic doesn't necessarily have a clear right and wrong, because there's either laws that are being challenged by mainstream society, or society hasn't created laws yet to determine whether or not the topic is correct. Now, here's just a word of advice from your professor. Remember that your thesis claim is your opinion with a little bit of attitude. And attitude is the pathos, it's the emotion of a topic. So yes, we don't want the topic to be too overly emotional, but you don't want the topic to be dry either, because you want to hold your audience's attention. So you want to make sure that you construct some research questions. And one of the ways that you can do that is you can think about what you already know about your topic. Write that information down. And as you're writing it down, think about things that you have wanted to know because maybe you heard a little bit about it, or maybe you're starting to realize that there are some gaps in your knowledge and you need to go find out what that is. And the other thing is, what do you want to learn about your topic? So if you're researching genetic manipulation, do you know anything about gene splicing? If you do, what do you know? And if you don't, what do you not know? Do you already know something about the heroic? What are the criteria for somebody to be a hero? If you don't, maybe you need to find out what that is. And something that's very helpful in determining questions is a term that we call heuristics. Now, you've heard this term earlier in the semester. It's the W questions, the who, why, what, where, when, how. So if you'll use these questions to help you construct more questions to help guide you in your research will go faster. And lastly, have your family, your friends, your instructor, maybe a writing tutor, look over your questions. See if there's anything that they think might be missing in regards to what you're wanting to research. Maybe they know more about the topic than you do, and maybe they can give some suggestions. Now, like I said, you definitely want to you want to use the library databases for your research. You also want to use the Superheroes and Philosophy textbook because that is a requirement for Essay 3. And it is highly important that you remember not to commit plagiarism while conducting your research, writing your research proposal, and writing your Essay 3. Quite frequently, students do not mean to commit plagiarism, and this is called unintentional plagiarism. And what happens is that you've been reading a lot of sources, and those sources become intertwined in your thinking processes. So here's my word of advice. Always create the citation for your source. Always take notes regarding your source. Look for a few good quotes that you think might work well in your research proposal and in your Essay 3, and make sure that you use those. Because if you plagiarize, unfortunately, the assignment will receive a 0, and that will definitely affect your grade. Make sure you use the research proposal template that I provided you on Blackboard. Please look at the examples that I've also provided from other students. This will help you to better understand what it is that I'm looking for. You will need to submit your research proposal to the appropriate link on Blackboard, and you will need to check back in your gradebook frequently to see whether or not your proposal has been accepted or if I've asked you to revise your proposal. If I've asked you to revise your proposal, it's probably because you have fallen into the informational side and not in the argumentative side. It's important that you use strong claims and strong verbs and words in your research proposal. This will help you to have a more successful proposal, and it will help you to move more quickly in your research. So here's the first student example. As you can see, Ms. Glenn has used MLA formatting. She does need to change her month to OCT period instead of writing the month out. But other than that, it's looking really great. Now, if we look at the project statement, she has used the expected 1, 2, 3 sentences. And now let's read what her project statement is. I am working on the topic of the use of animals to explain disabilities being a trend, because I want to find out how the representation of disabilities in films, such as Finding Dory, affect people's viewpoints on disabilities, in order to help the readers understand how the use of animals exhibiting disabilities in films and reality positively affects people's views on disability. Okay, so we have a few grammatical and mechanical errors, and she's bordering on informational. So let's look at her significance statement to see if she clarifies how this is an argumentative research proposal. Society does not look at people or animals with disabilities in the same way as they would someone who is called normal. There are millions of reasons why they are not treated the same. Lately, animals with disabilities have been in the spotlight in films and documentaries. People feel love and inspiration towards these special animals. This topic is very relevant to society because it is such a trend right now in pop culture. I am trying to uncover how these examples of disabilities shown in animals are affecting people's viewpoints on disabilities as a whole. I believe that these examples are positively affecting people's feelings towards disabilities because they make people understand how they live and how their disabilities do not define them. Now again, we have some misspelling and some grammatical and mechanical errors, but I really don't want to focus in on that. I want to focus in on how she took the project statement, applied it in her significance statement, and how she's starting to get into the argumentative mode. Here, what she is saying is that these portrayals of people are helping society to feel better about others with disabilities, to not treat them so adversely, which is an argument in itself because other people would argue and say, oh no, they're making fun of disabled people, they're creating these caricatures that are poking fun at them. So she didn't include that other part of the continuum of opinion, which would have lent better to it being an arguable research proposal. But I talked with Erin about it, and I was able to see where she was coming from with her research proposal. Now let's go look at her working bibliography. As you can see, it does have the proper title, working bibliography. There are some errors in regards to the formatting of the citations, but I just want you to see that she does have a working bibliography, that she does have the required amount of sources that she needs for the assignment. You can work with a writing tutor or you can work with me to get further help with citations, but what I do want to say is that Erin's proposal was approved after I spoke with her to make sure I understood where she was going. And she does have an arguable topic. Like I said, people tend to say that these animated movies are making fun of disabled people, that they're creating these caricatures, if you would, of how people would look. And her paper just became this phenomenal paper that I really enjoyed reading. In fact, you will see an example of her annotated bibliography as well as her essay 3 on Blackboard. So good job, Erin, and thank you for allowing me to use your example in my video. Let's move on to the next example that I have. So this is Kenna Martinez's research proposal, and she does have the header. Unfortunately, you can't see it because my face is covering that up. And she does have all the required information for her name, my name, the course, and the date. The month should be abbreviated, but that was easily fixed. Then you can see that she does follow the 3-step project statement. So let's read this. I am working on the topic of physician-assisted suicide and euthanasia because I want to find out if assisted suicide and euthanasia is ethical or if it is immoral, in order to help people find out about options if they become terminally ill. Now, right off the bat, this is already an argumentative topic because she says she wants to determine if it's ethical and if it's immoral. Those two words right there make this an argumentative topic, not an informational topic. Because when we start talking about ethics and moralities, the opinions vary and they differ. For example, if you're a religious person, most religions frown upon euthanasia. But if you're not a religious person, you might defend the option for physician-assisted suicide. And then there are other people who are not religious and they're like, oh no, human life is too valuable. It shouldn't be wasted. So she definitely has that continuum of opinion that I'm looking for within a paper. So let's look at her significant statement. Views differ on the morality and legality of assisted suicide and euthanasia. The topic of assisted suicide brings out strong emotional responses, usually tied to religious beliefs. Some believe only God can decide when life should end. Those who are not religious still wrestle with the issue of morality in assisted suicide and euthanasia. Perhaps the most important aspect of this issue is the ability or right to choose. Should anyone be able to trump the decisions made by a terminally ill patient? I will look into the legality of the issues as well as reasons to why people decide to end their lives by suicide or euthanasia. So I really appreciate the fact that she included a question. It lets me know, what it is that she wants to find out, what she's thinking about the topic. This became a wonderful paper. You will see her paper as an example for Essay 3, and you will also see an example of her annotated bibliography. So you can follow Erin Glenn's, and you can follow Kenna Martinez's entire research process from the proposal to the annotated bibliography to the polished paper. So you can see how this research process progresses over time. Both of these ladies did a tremendous job. So now let's look at her working bibliography. She does use the appropriate term, and as you can see, she is using MLA formatting. There were a few things that I was telling her that she needed, such as when you have an electronic source, like she does here, she needs an access date so that I know when she accessed it. And here, this should be a lower E instead of a capitalized E. But, I mean, overall, her working bibliography is looking great. It's varied. She does pull in a source from the Superheroes textbook, which is a requirement. She has used the TCC databases, which are also a requirement. This is a really good research proposal, just like Erin's was an excellent research proposal as well. I hope that both of these will help you to determine what it is that I'm looking for. Now for my Composition 2 students, you're going to be applying a critical lens within your research essay. So you're stepping it up a notch more than what the Composition 1 students do. So let's look at a Composition 2 research proposal. Again, the header is on the paper. You just can't see it because of my face being on the screen. This is written by Tess Payton. The only thing that's missing is she's missing the period after October. Let's look. She does have the word project statement, and she does have the 3 sentences. Let's read these. I am working on the topic of traditionally feminine traits and arguing how they are not inherently negative or regressive, because I want to find out how different feminists perceive traditional female traits and their opinions on them, in order to help feminists and men realize that destigmatizing traditionally female traits will help them grow less ashamed of their feminine side and grow less repressed. Now already this is an arguable topic because most often we hear that women want equal rights and they want, they don't want people to be objectifying them. And yet here Tess is like, you know what, we should be embracing the feminine traits. So let's see what her significance statement says. My main claim will be that many traditional female attributes are not harmful or inherently not feminist. All have the following supporting statements. 1. These attributes are only harmful when it's implied that all females must comply with them, or that only females can exhibit such traits. 2. Makeup can be a form of self-expression, not a standard to create acceptable perfection. 3. Letting your emotions flow freely can be healthy as long as you don't allow them to harm anyone. And 4. Care ethics should be praised and not thought of as a solely feminine practice. 5. Once traditionally feminine things destigmatized, this will help repress men as well. I will help people understand that many things that are traditionally considered feminine are not harmful, and my contribution to the discussion will lie in also including the benefits to men that are brought up by this perspective. This is a very interesting take. Used to be men couldn't say that they were feminist, and now men can claim that they are a feminist, and Tess is working this in to her research proposal. She does really great with her annotated bibliography and her essay 3. You'll see more of these in the examples for annotated bibliographies and essay 3. Her paper was just fantastic. The research proposal does have some errors in it. She's using contractions. Her significance statement is not indented. But I really don't want you to pay attention to the grammatical and mechanical errors. I want you to pay attention to the intent of the assignment. And the intent of the assignment for a Composition 2 student is that you're able to take a critical lens, and that you're able to take philosophy and ethics and morality, and you're able to look at these things in relation to the topic that you have chosen, and moreover that you're able to apply it to our culture, American culture. How does it affect us as a society? And that's what Tess does, and this is what makes her research proposal so wonderful. It was approved on the first time that she submitted it, and I'm very thankful that she allowed me to use it as an example. Okay, so let's look at the second example for Composition 2 students. This is Barrett Welburn's proposal for artificial intelligence. As you know, I really enjoy the topic of artificial intelligence, and we take an entire week to explore this unit, and we talk about different philosophies and critical lenses. So I thought you just might enjoy seeing a research proposal about a topic that we discuss in class. So like the previous students, Barrett didn't abbreviate his month, so that would need to be changed. There are some grammatical and mechanical errors throughout his proposal, but I want you to look at the intent of the proposal. So let's begin by reading his project statement. I'm working on the topic of the ethics of artificial intelligence and how society will likely never accept it as equal to a human being. So, artificial intelligence and equality. So we already have an argument here. And we discussed this in class, that the issue of equality will continue to recycle in our discourse regarding AIs as we're trying to make them to become more sentient and more conscious. This is called the singularity. So he's discussing this in his paper. Because I want to find out what hard limits society may have and what they will mean for our future. In order for the average college student to better understand what issues we may be facing in the future and how they will affect our lives. So he's narrowed his audience to college students. And I talked with Barrett about his research proposal, and we had a very interesting conversation about the fact that your generation is going to be faced with greater ethical and moral concerns than we have ever been faced with, because robots are no longer just science fiction. They are reality, and you watch the videos and you read the essays and you know this. So this is already an argument. Does the project statement need to be revised? Yes, there are many errors within it, but the intent is clear. It is definitely an argument. So let's look at the significance statement. I'm working on the topic of the ethics of artificial intelligence and how society will likely never accept it as equal to a human being. I also want to find out how it will impact jobs, the economy, defense, how much of a role it could become in our everyday lives. Along with these, it's important to determine when AI will become advanced enough to be more intelligent than a human being. What moral issues could come with achieving true AI, and even what true artificial intelligence is defined as. All of these topics are very important for everyone to know because artificial is becoming more and more a part of our lives, whether people like it or not. And we will most likely be having to face these issues morally and legislatively in the future as society anyway. Very true. And yes, it is an arguable topic. Yes, it was approved. It could have used some revision to take care of the errors that are within it, but it does meet all the criteria. And he does have a working bibliography. It should not say cited, it should say working bibliography. There are also some MLA errors in here. However, the purpose is for you to see an example of the project statement, the significance statement, to see what it is that I'm looking for. And I wanted you to see that you could take a subject that's already been discussed in the course and just continue to build more sources out from that. And that's exactly what Barrett did. And I really appreciated him exploring artificial intelligence. His paper was well written and I enjoyed it. I hope that you have enjoyed these examples. There are a few things that I want to remind you about. So in terms of the research proposal, I want to make sure that you understand the continuum of opinion does need to be represented in your research proposal and in your essay 3. You need to form your own claim statement. That is the positive side of the continuum of opinion. You need to find people that totally disagree with your opinion. And then you need to find people that partially agree and partially disagree with you. You need to show that you can use these sources in your essay 3 in this manner. You need to be able to engage with the discourse. So make sure that the continuum of opinion is represented on your research proposal. When I go and I look at your working bibliography, I want to see sources that have this. A source that agrees with you, a source that disagrees with you, and a source that agrees and disagrees with you. That is imperative in order to receive approval for your research proposal. I also want to remind you that the research proposal can be written in first person. Can be written in first person. You need to have an arguable topic. You need to make sure that you're asking yourself some research questions. I want to know exactly where it is that you're going. I want you to look for sources in the library database. I appreciate you joining me in today's online lecture, and I hope that the student examples help you. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please be sure to send me an email or see me before or after class. You can also schedule a meeting with me. I can meet with you on campus, or we could meet via video chat as well. You can go to the Writing Center for assistance also. I look forward to reading your research proposals. I always have so much fun learning about your different interests when we get to this part of the semester. So have fun. Find something that interests you, and it will be so much better for you. You'll be able to write so much quicker and easier. Thank you, and I'll see you in class.